you like a lot of wrestling on your SmackDown, watch last week's SmackDown. It'll never catch on. While of course that Nakamura versus Roman Reigns match was just one of those WWE matches booked just to piss you off and to also give Teddy Long a massive raging stiffy since it led to a tag team match in the main event of the night. There was more wrestling than not wrestling on Friday Night SmackDown, and good I say, good on them. Of course there were a couple of talking segments, and I personally thought that while Hogan's was short, it was a chore, and Bayley's, while not being much longer, that was also a chore. But last week's Friday Night SmackDown was just fine. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just fine. And in this day and age, we're going to take it, and let's celebrate. So I'm Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com, you're a sexual wank fezon. Let's get cracking with the knack, and that is all of the WTF moments from Friday Night Smackity-Doon. WTF! Now then, you at home are a WTF moment if you were sat there looking at Twitter last Thursday, saw Nakamura versus Reigns announced and thought, hey, why is Roman Reigns getting an Intercontinental Championship match for no good reason whatsoever? And that is because last year you will remember that Shinsuke Nakamura was bitten by a dog, footage of which I have available to you right now, so play the footage, Richard. I'm still really sorry about that. I don't know why I brought it back up. But anyway, it is clear to me, a glorified hack, that Shinsuke Nakamura, the Intercontinental Champion, saw that the big dog Roman Reigns was drafted to the same brand as he was during the draft last week and thought, hey, I'll get my vengeance in the form of defending my gold against that horrible man who bit me in the arse. That's definitely what happened. Hack theory. Man alive, that t-shirt's got a brand new meaning, doesn't it? Somebody needs to let her know. She must have been gutted during that Miz TV segment, bless her cotton socks. We are now being joined on commentary by Shinsuke Nakamura's business associate, Sami Zayn, said Michael Cole, and in this moment I thought to myself, Sami Zayn, I've got one thing to say to you, Sammy, and that's Sammy, you're a silly sausage, Sammy. Shinsuke Nakamura's Intercontinental Championship was on the line. Sammy Shinsuke found himself in serious dog poo as he stood across the ring from the big dog, sorry, I need to talk properly, big dog, who bit him in the arse last year, and of course this big dog just so happens to be one of the best professional wrestlers in the world today. Not the best professional wrestler, of course, because remember when Shane McMahon beat Roman Reigns? That was a thing. That, of course, happened in Saudi Arabia, when Colonel McSweaty Bollocks' sweaty bollocks had never been sweatier. Yet, Sammy, you're having a sit down and a chin wag with Michael Cole when your client, your meal ticket, your Bay, probably, is defending his championship against a really good big wrestler. What am I saying? Now, I know he got up later on and got involved, but you still have to make the conscious decision Sammy made to go and sit and talk to Michael Cole, of all people, a huge WTF moment. Now, I can't have been the only one saying that their camera angle being used so many times during the early stages of that Nakamura versus Reigns match, and I can't have been the only one thinking to myself, hey, I'm watching NWA Power. Because it's got 3 R's, but still, NWA Power is very good. And also for pirates. The next WTF moment now, I'm just going to read out what I've got written down in my notes down here. Big baldy bastard Baron Corbin loves threesomes. But hey, at least this brand new threesome cannot be as bad as 3-man bland, even though Drew McIntyre is anything but bland. And next up we have Big Tucky saying to Kofi Kingston and the New Day, Kofi, we need to lift your spirits after you got spaffed right in the face by Brock Lesnar, losing your WWE title. In response, Kofi says to Tucky, well, Tucky, I need to stop doing that. Lift my spirits after losing the WWE Championship? No, I've got the power of positivity, and that's all I need, he says, while crushing, squeezing, any word you like, a bloody pancake. And now it's time for some more hack theory here on WTF Moments, because the way that Kofi scrumpled up that pancake when he was talking about, hey, all I need is the power of positivity, when really he actually needs the WWE title to breathe, is the origins of a Kofi Kingston heel turn. You see now, in reality, Kofi Kingston is absolutely devastated that he lost that title, and the power of positivity bollocks is starting to wear thin. He wants the real gold, not to do dancing with his pals. He wants to get serious, so he does. So he's going to turn heel in the not too distant future. Now, I should say for the record, I don't want the New Day to split up. They're one of the most important factions in WWE history. But I think that's what they're going to do, because as always with WWE, they see babyface, they run out of ideas, they think, oh, let's turn them heel and everything will be okay. Even though it isn't. And next up we have Big E having a little bit of the subliminal messaging. When he said, and we don't swim either. You can fill in the blanks there. I'm going to move on. And we have to make this a WTF moment, boys and girls, because we learned during the course of Friday Night SmackDown that WWE are keeping together the tag team that nobody bought as a bona fide tag team because they didn't even bother to call them Rudolph once. And that's despite the fact that with that massive big draft thing that took place last week, WWE had a perfect opportunity to split up this tag team that nobody's buying. Why didn't they? And I'm going to answer my own question right now, because you have a look at Wikipedia, you see the SmackDown Live roster, and you see the absolute state that is the SmackDown Tag Team division. A division that consists of the Revival, New Day, Heavy Machinery, B-Team, Lucha House Party, the Colognes as well apparently. There's 4 teams if you include Ziggler and Roode in the SmackDown Live Tag Team ranks. His nickname is Shorty. Here's why, said Michael Cole before passing over to a promo package that showed why 5'8" Chad Gable is called Shorty Gable. And that's even though, stood at 5'8" inches, in the UK at least, he's average height. He's not a small man at all. He should be called Averagey Gable, or better still, he should just be called Chad Gable, you pissing dicks. And next up we have Shorty Gable saying, my height is what makes me who I am. So here we have a professional wrestler who has a legitimate background in his background, yet decides to disregard that background, real achievements in his life, in favour of embracing a nickname a heel, a twat in the crown gave him. Now I guess if we look at the positive side of Shorty Gable, the message he put across was very pure and very wholesome and very inspiring. But just imagine if back in 1999/2000, Kurt Angle of all people completely disregarded his Olympic gold medal. No reference to it whatsoever. Just imagine if Kurt Angle stood in the ring and said, boys and girls, I identify as a man with a really wide neck. A wide neck defines me, so I'm going to fight for all the wide-necked people. Believe in who you are, embrace your insecurities, yeah, wide necks. What the hell are they smoking? But at the end of the day, I guess it is just a name, and it's up to the superstar to make something of this pile of poo he's been given. But why, in the midst of calling him Shorty Gable, would you completely disregard the thing that makes him a legitimate threat? I don't know. He's an Olympian for Christ's sake. But then we get to the end of that little promo that Shorty Gable blurted right out from between his lips. I can roll my arse. And he said the following: I'm Shorty Gable. Let's shorten that up. Dramatic pause. I'm Shorty G. Yeah, he pulled a funny face as well. And I was left thinking, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Not because he's an American twat, but remember when the news was telling us WWE have filed a trademark application for the term Shorty G. And we were thinking to ourselves, they wouldn't do that to Chad Gable, would they? Chad Gable's too good for some crap like that. Well, here we are. And I really do hope it works out for Chad, because he is a great wrestler. I hope they let him be more of the funny Chad Gable that gave Jason Jordan a career back in the NXT days. But wow, wowie, wowie, wow, wow. That's a reference. Does Shorty G have a mountain to climb with a name like that? A mountain, of course, which will take longer for him to climb because he's very short and presumably has shorter legs than the rest of us. Well, spank my arse and call me Gertrude. Who would have thought that Hulk Hogan, of all people, was such a massive fan of the worldwide fun for nature? Now you've got to imagine that WWE did a test run of this Skype call, you know, check if the connection's working, check if he's got anything in the back of shot that he shouldn't have. So one question then, person who checked that Skype call for the scenery and the connection and all of that, how the hell have you missed that one? And I also realised that in the back of that shot there, I see a SmackDown tag title and a SmackDown women's title, and since Hulk Hogan did not win those titles, I realised that he is a jabroni mark without a life that don't know how to work. When you work a work and work yourself into a shoot marks, he's one of them. Now for the following WTF moment, I could mention the fact that Hulk Hogan claimed that the entire WWE locker room are simply gagging to be on his team, because of course they are, Terry. You keep telling yourself that, brother. But that would be too easy, boys and girls, so instead I'll go with the following quote that came directly from Hulk Hogan's mouth when he said, "Don't you even worry about who Team Hogan has on his team." It's like a riddle, isn't it? And I can't have been the only one sat there looking at that graphic there and thinking to myself, but hey, we already know who the best tag team in the world is. That, of course, is Colonel McSweaty Bollocks, who, of course, is still the best professional wrestler in the world today. He's just not signed to WWE. So AEW, what you waiting for, pals? And his friend The Miz. If that thing there is like an actual World Cup, you don't see, since France won the World Cup last year, Brazil gets stripped of their titles as world champions, do you? That graphic there needs a word added to it, and that word is next. And that word needs to come in between the and best. The next best. Nah. So next up we have the weird juxtaposition that was The Miz of all people, acting all high and mighty and being the morality police towards Bayley. I mean, I know he's a babyface these days, but however, man, Mike, you are one of the biggest dicks WWE has ever seen since the days of Virgil. But anyway, this WTF moment revolves around Bayley sitting there and saying she turned heel on the fans because she was sick of spreading the joy, giving all the fans everything, but the fans not giving anything in return. Bayley was sick of being the giver. She wanted to be the taker. She then said that after her Hell in a Cell loss to Charlotte Flair, she was crying on the locker room floor. And she was asking who was there for her. Well, I'm asking, after she said that, where the hell was Sasha Banks? I don't know that Sasha had been through an actual Hell in a Cell match earlier in the night, like a proper one, not like that pretend Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt one, but still, surely her and Bayley being on-screen partners and best pals in real life, surely they travelled together, they could have hugged then. And then Bayley, of all people, just sat there and out of nowhere nicked one right from the top drawer of Vince McMahon quotes. Bayley sat there, and I know her delivery was all wrong. It wasn't very good in my opinion, but she sat there and said, "Life sucks, and then you die." That's how you do it, Bayley. Life sucks, and then you die. It's really fun. And you remember Dana Brooke, didn't you? Yeah, I'm sure you did. She made it on one of the proper weekly shows for the first time in God knows how long. And I was thinking that Dana Brooke here in 2019 was nothing more than the main event of main event, and simply confined to those rubbish promos that were shot during the ad breaks of Monday Night Raw, when she would turn into Purple Aki and say to the fans, show me your muscles. Can I say, we'll take a risk here, don't we? But it was good to see Dana nonetheless. But with that women's six-pack challenge ting, I was left asking one question, and that question is, where was Alexa Bliss? And now it's time for some more hack theory, because I believe that Alexa Bliss got dizzy and got lost on her way to the arena for Friday Night SmackDown because of the mess that WWE did with her with that draft malarkey. And we kicked off that women's six-pack challenge with Lacey Evans playing the heel and immediately rolling out of the ring. And it was great to see that on last week's Raw, when they maybe tried to turn her face, but then didn't really, but then did also. It's glad to see that was completely worthwhile everyone's time and investment. "You will never look like me, Mandy," says right into the face of Carmella. But I was stood there thinking, if you squint, kind of. And of course, Mandy, Corey Graves fancies the pair of you. So probably, aye. Mago. Remember the great rivalry Lacey Evans and Becky Lynch had over the summer? Michael, get a dictionary, look up the word great, because you do not know what that word means. And now it's time for this.
Wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank.
Hello and welcome back to Wankety Wank, the section of WTF Moments where you point out a WTF moment that I have missed, and I give you all the credit because we're a bunch of wholesome boys and girls here, aren't we? But I didn't think this was a WTF moment on Friday Night SmackDown because I was listening very hard when Michael Cole said, heavyweight, really loudly and really slowly, just to make sure everyone in the world picked him up. But apparently, according to somebody whose name I forgot to write down, he might have said it somewhere else in the show incorrectly. So if he did, that's in. If he didn't, it's in this video, just to cover all bases, just in case, you know. Can't be stopped for any reason. Remember when that used to be the inferred rule for a Hell in a Cell match? They were good times, weren't they? Yeah. But also, that word in there would suggest that not even a pinfall or a submission or anything like that could stop that match. Let's see how that one goes. This is my debut on SmackDown Live, said Drew Gulak, and at this moment I was thinking to myself, hey Drew, somebody needs to make you a 345 slide PowerPoint presentation to explain to you how SmackDown Live became Friday Night SmackDown. It's such an enthralling tale, honestly. And we end with a grave mistake, as Corey Graves said the following: every year the 2K video games are bigger, they are better, they are faster, the graphics are better, the roster is bigger. That's a direct quote he said there. And if you didn't catch up on why I was laughing there, judging by many things I've seen on the internet over the past 7 days, some of the things Corey said there might not be true. But that's it for the WTF Moments from a wrestling-centric episode of SmackDown Live. And you would think that with the wrestling being the centric, it would have been good. But it was just fine. What are you staring at? Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. And if you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can play us to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Hit subscribe and join us.